Again, Levi checked his watch. He'd pace if he weren't so exhausted and achy from his collection of injuries. 2 broken ribs, a black eye, several bruises, and a bandaged knife wound. The city of sin hadn't been merciful to him these past few days. After he and Enne had escaped from the shadow game and returned to St. Morse, he'd managed a mere 5 hours of shut-eye before the bodyguard had knocked on Enne's apartment door and informed Levi that his ride to Zula Slick's safe house would soon arrive. Zula owned an illegal monarchist newspaper in Old Town, and several days prior had been the one to coldly inform Enne that her mother was dead. If Levi had a choice, he'd never see that heartless woman again. But thanks to Bianca's unbreakable omerta, Levi never had a choice. Zula's was safe. What mattered now was moving from here to there without meeting trouble along the way. But Zula Slick was the least of his problems. For the past 2 years, Levi had been running an investment scam, which was how he'd earned the enemies who'd invited him to the shadow game. Once the scam started to crumble, all he'd wanted was to clean it up so he could focus on his gang, the Irons. He still wanted that, to build his empire, just as he'd always dreamed. But Levi was in a predicament. The lords of the other 2 gangs were wanted criminals as well, but Ivory and Scavenger could count on the loyalty and protection of their associates for their safety, whereas half the Irons would probably sell Levi out simply to watch him hang. If Levi was spending all his time trapped under Zula's watch, he'd have no shot at rebuilding his gang. He'd broken out of one cage only to stumble into another. He tore the wanted poster from the dumpster and crumpled it in his fist. Maybe he was meant for nothing. A swanky amber-light motor car appeared at the mouth of the alley, painted black and matte as if coated in gunpowder. Levi ducked closer to his bodyguard. Bianca had scheduled his ride, and Bianca didn't do inconspicuous. The car had no metallic fixtures or studded bumpers to be seen. It could be a trap. Once the car eased deeper into the alley, the driver's window rolled down and a gloved hand beckoned Levi inside. Beside him, the bodyguard nodded for Levi to depart. Apparently, this was his scheduled ride after all. "Wanted men don't do flashy," Levi reminded himself, oh so tragically. He groaned in pain as he slid onto the plush leather of the back seat and shut the door. The motor car lurched forward, leaving the St. Morse escort behind. Inside was utter darkness. As his eyes adjusted, he took in a shape in the seat across from him and realized, breath-catching, that his private getaway wasn't so private. He snapped the fingers of one hand, sparking a faint flame that offered a pinch of light, one of the few useful tricks his orb-making blood talent provided him. His other hand instinctively felt for his pistol. The man looked nearly 40. A patch concealed his left eye, but there was no hiding the ugly pink scar that snaked across his brow into his receding copper hairline. His skin was fair, his grey trench coat designed by Ulani Maxarello, and his teeth whiter than a tooth polish advertisement. "It was time we met," the man said, as if assuming Levi already knew his identity. Levi never forgot a face, and although he'd never seen this man before, there was something familiar about him. Perhaps in the reptilian green of his remaining eye, in the sharp slant of his nose, the narrow shape of his jawline. Even if his individual features were neither unattractive nor unsettling, collectively, and without explanation, his appearance made Levi's skin crawl. Maybe this wasn't his scheduled ride after all. "Let's not have any trouble," Levi warned, clicking the safety off his gun loud enough for his companion to hear. Rather than reacting to Levi's threat, the man tossed him that day's copy of The Crimes and the Times. Levi's heart skipped several beats as he examined the matching wanted posters on the front page. Him and Séance, whom he knew better as Enne Salta. She'd arrived in New Reynes only 10 days ago, but since then she'd managed to earn